So one thing on my to-do list today is to take this 2080 Ti Asus Strix graphics card with this Corsair Waterblock on it and put the stock air cooler back on so I can actually sell this card. I did have it posted for sale just the way it is with the Waterblock, and actually I had two of these, and I had a guy so graciously reach out to me and let me know that basically I was dumb for trying to sell it like this, and he had a point. People who are going to be looking for this caliber graphics card in 2025 are just going to be looking for the air cooler or something they can slap in their machine for good value. But I thought this might be a good opportunity to officially mark the end of a hiatus on the channel. We're going to get back to uploading stuff more frequently as a lot of things are kind of going on. And also I'm just currently testing out some new gear that I'm really inexperienced with. So if there's something crazy messed up with this video, at least it's not going to be a huge loss because we're just going to hang out. We're going to figure out how to put this back on here when I never got the screws for it. First thing we have to do is get this Waterblock off this GPU. And because I didn't put it on, I'm just gonna start removing some screws here. So the history on where these GPUs came from, like I said, there's two of these originally. I bought a Threadripper system years ago. I couldn't even really guess, early 2020s, 2021. It had two 2080 Ti's in SLI in it. And when I got the system, there was some questionable things, how it was hardline custom water cooled, but there was like a soft line loop that ran through the back in the cable management area. And there was some other questionable things done with it. So I ended up having to redo the whole custom loop. I should have known from the state of how the water cooling was done that probably should have took these blocks off and checked how these blocks were put on as well. Because the first one I took apart had some very questionable ways the thermal pads were installed, and I don't think the core was being cooled properly, which probably could have also explained some of the inconsistencies I had when using that machine or something like that. So we're going to open this up and we're going to see what we see in here. And that's basically the story of where these GPUs came from. Now that system, the Threadripper system, I've actually broken it down and I built it into like a home server that's currently downstairs. I'm just realizing we're gonna need some support for this block maybe. Kind of feel the card starting to flex. So yeah, so all the components came out and they're all being put back to use just in a more practical form factor. The case that this system was running in when I got it was the Corsair 10,000D, so I actually couldn't even lift the system by myself. It was too just big and cumbersome. One nice thing I'm just noticing about all these screws I took out is they all are the exact same size, so I guess it doesn't matter where they came out of, which will be good for if someone ever needs to put this block back on a 2080 Ti. I'll probably just throw this block on eBay or something. Okay. Yeah, no thermal pads or anything. Kind of a bit of a missed opportunity always when you got a aluminum backplate like this. If you put thermal pads between the card and the backplate, you're going to dissipate a little bit more heat. So now, is there anything else holding this on? Like I mentioned, I had two of these. I already did this to one, but I did it the same way you're seeing now. I just kind of randomly started taking stuff apart until it came apart. See, this is what I mean by questionable thermal pad stuff. What is this random extra piece of thermal pad doing? Actually, this card, this really is not bad actually. I can at least tell for the most part that all the memory chips were making an imprint in the thermal material. I'll throw up a picture of the first card I took apart. I sent a picture of that card to my buddy Tristan and you can see the core was not being properly supported. One thing we can do straight away with this now, because that's the part we're interested in, we can just put the backplate back on this and set it aside. So for those of you who have never met me before or been exposed to my little corner of the world here, my name's Kyle. I have an online shop called Ultraprecision Technologies. Currently only run on Etsy. One day we'll get away from that, but for now, the platform's just working well for me. I don't want to say I was one of the first people to have computer-related products on Etsy, but I was definitely one of the first because there was not even like a computer category back in like 2021, early 2021. So I've been at this for a while now, and how I kind of started working on this sort of stuff was I've always liked building computers ever since one of my buddies introduced me to it, like back when we were kids. Yeah, 14 or 15 years old is kind of like the earliest you can work. So I remember, you know, you'd work as little as possible just to get a little tiny bit of spending money so you could just buy a couple of things as like a teenager. And yeah, for me, computer parts was one of those things I tried to spend as little money as possible on, but I still really, really enjoyed doing it. So realistically, I probably ended up spending a lot of my little part-time paychecks on computer parts. But yeah, that's all thanks to my one friend, and I'm not sure if he wants to be mentioned or not. So okay, perfect example of what I was talking about, just getting used to some new equipment. So if this video doesn't go 100% perfectly, that's another purpose of why this video exists. Camera just overheated, so kind of knew that was going to be an issue with this camera. It's the Sony ZV-E10 II, and I'm shooting at 4K 30 FPS. Yeah, I don't know, apparently it's still overheated. So stay tuned for a video where I tear down a brand new camera and figure out why it would overheat. Maybe it'll be a short or something, I don't know. This isn't a camera channel. I don't know anything about cameras, but I know about technology and keeping it from overheating. So check out the ridiculous setup to keep the camera from overheating. They don't build them like they used to. I don't know if they I don't know anything about cameras, but fan, hot camera. Before we got cut off there, the water block is disassembled, or reassembled, I should say. Water block is fully removed, and we're left with the actual GPU. And I'm just noticing that these RGB pins down here are mangled. So let's go ahead and try to straighten those quickly and cringily. And one of the fan headers is actually bent here too. See, you never know what kind of Jumanjis own these things before you, man. That's one of the hassles of getting used hardware. Unless you buy it from me, of course, and then you're gonna get it back in better condition than I even got it. Apparently. So that looks about good enough to be functional. That was a functional pass. Yeah, at this point, I think we'll just clean up the card a bit. And if I was saying something before the camera overheated and shut off, I apologize because I don't remember what it was. I think I was introducing myself. So this is a cool little trick. If you got some dust, you can see here, there's some dust. Just a regular paintbrush is fine. Super easy way to get the card looking really good. And it's very gentle on the components. You can buy anti-static brushes. There's a minor risk of like a static discharge killing something, but I've never had it happen. Easy once over with the brush. Get in those ports a little bit. Just keep the brush away from any thermal compound because you don't want to dirty up your brush if you only have the one. And the next thing we'll do is I'll get some thermal compound cleaning type stuff. We'll clean up this area here while I try to get back on track of how I even got interested in this kind of stuff in the first place. I think that's what we were talking about. But yeah, so I'm just rubbing alcohol, following up with some of this RT-Clean thermal surface purifier. So yeah, I have no idea how rambly this is coming across. I just thought it would be a good way to test out the new recording stuff and have a bit of a hangout and officially take the channel off hiatus. I need to get more comfortable with just recording things I'm working on and just doing more stuff in general. So here we are. So to make a long story really short, basically I got into doing custom computers thanks to my one buddy when I was young. I didn't realize you could just build yourself a computer, and he's like, oh yeah, man, you totally can. And we were like 14, 15 years old. Yeah, he got me hooked. We're both still really into computers to this day. I've actually known this guy since kindergarten, so he's just been kind of that one constant friend my whole life. And you know, we're older now, we both have our own places and that, and he actually has his whole basement renovated and set up for like LAN parties and kind of entertaining, which is super cool. So maybe you'll see that one day if you guys stick around long enough. So it used to be that I would really only pay attention to computer stuff every 2 to 3 years, like when I wanted to do an upgrade or some games or something came out and my hardware wasn't really up to spec. So I would get out of the whole computer scene. This is how it used to be. I would get out of the computer scene for 2 to 3 years, sometimes 4 years. In that time period, you could ask me questions about computers and I wouldn't be able to tell you a single thing. I got right out of it. And then I would dive really deep back in for 8 months or something to really get a full grasp of the market. Okay, what are the new graphics cards coming out, new CPUs, really get really educated so I could make good informed decisions on new computer hardware, and then I would butt right back out again for another few years. And that was the cycle back and forth for a while, but eventually, I don't even know when, around 2017, 2018, somewhere around then, I got back into computers to learn about stuff the same way I always had, because I needed to do an upgrade or something. And I just never butted back out this time. Even when the hardware got really boring and everything, and we were done all the releases, and it was gonna be a year and a half before new hardware came out, new graphics cards, I sort of stayed just in the tech community, and I stayed on top of things. And I would do stuff like case swaps quite often to keep my build interesting to me. Or I would change like little components here and there, try to optimize cooling. You know, I think I had an EVGA 2080 Ti XC Black Edition at the time. You know, it was kind of overheating, and I took it apart and repasted it and stuff like that. Somewhere along the line, another really good friend of mine, Adam, he got me into 3D printing, or he introduced me to it. When I was really young, I kind of was like, oh, it'd be cool to be an inventor. Like, how does someone invent something and bring it to market? Well, now I can. I can literally model and design my own PC parts from scratch, and I now have like a home manufacturing way, which right now is exclusively 3D printing. But I would like to expand that into like CNC machining and doing some stuff with metal. And you're gonna see more of that stuff kind of coming into the near future, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Once I was introduced to 3D printing and I got better at modeling and stuff over the course of a year or two, started designing solutions for thermal problems and just like case compatibility problems, or just like cool mods. So eventually it was like, hey, I'm designing all this stuff for myself. I think it's really cool. Maybe there's someone else out there in the world who would find value in this stuff. And that's around the time I started the Etsy shop, Ultraprecision Technologies. So if you guys didn't know that, I'll leave a link down in the description, and you can go down there and check out the Etsy store and see if there's anything in there that you find is cool. I'm always looking for feedback on that stuff. Okay, for the sake of time, because I was getting a bit rambly, I went and pre-cut all these pads. They still have their plastic little protective casing on them, but I got all the right size pads there. I gotta speed run this now because I'm running out of time. So this is kind of the little GPU support cage thing that goes on here, contacts some of the power delivery in this section and spreads out the heat on the memory chips. So we got to clean this up quick. So same thing, you can see these old thermal pads, they're just in really bad condition. So of course, go ahead and replace all these. A little bit of the memory pad material still stuck to this aluminum plate, so we'll just give it a little bath in IPA. As for what brand and stuff thermal pads these are, I honestly couldn't tell you. They came off Amazon. They had good reviews. Make sure the memory chips are fully covered. Now some of you guys may be seeing this one random missing spot here and thinking, hey, that looks a little bit weird. It's because the 2080 Ti's were 11 gigabyte cards. The Titan RTXs, which were basically the same card, but just fully unlocked, they had that 12th gigabyte module installed. I guess if anyone stumbles across this video and was like, why didn't he tell me thermal pad thickness? I guess I will just mention it now, and I will also leave a chapter below, so hopefully somebody finds it for this reason. These are all 1 mil thermal pads that go under this metal plate, and then this one here, which contacts this section of the air cooler, this is a 1.5 mil thermal pad that goes there. This one, they got lazy and they just did a huge chunk. It doesn't actually, there's no other heat generating components in this area. So I just cut a strip that goes over the actual heat generating components, which is these MOSFETs here. They're the things that you need to cool so they don't blow up. Okay, all the holes are lined up. Start putting in a billion little screws. So if you've made it this far into the video, you might be one of the few people wondering, what else can I expect from this channel in the future? I can confidently say more videos. Stuff like this, where I just tinker with computer stuff. I also would like to show off products when I design new stuff for the store and kind of do little videos about it. And I have one of those filmed already for a performance side panel for the Fractal Ridge case. It allows you to have a bit more versatility with CPU cooling options. That product's actually already live on the store right now. So you can go to that link I mentioned before and you can actually search for it. I think it's called like Fractal Ridge High Performance Split Side Panel or something like that. but I will have a dedicated video on that coming out shortly to kind of show it off. One thing I need to get better at is video editing. So I just figured the more videos I make, the better I will get at video editing. So did I miss any screws in this back plate? I don't think so. Okay, so I really prioritized that all those MOSFETs are fully covered. The last thing we're gonna need here is some thermal paste. And we're gonna just go with some bulk thermal paste here. This is the GD900 paste. Fellow tech YouTuber, Tech Yes City, he did a video on this a couple years ago, this thermal paste, and he found it to be just fine. But typically thermal pastes, the difference between the best and the worst thermal paste is just like a few degrees. So unless you're really pushing the bounds or you need every degree to count, don't fuss too much on thermal paste. Just get a good reputable brand thermal paste and that's it. Okay, it's cooler time. Yeah, drop the card down onto the cooler, lining up the standoffs as it lowers down. And then we want to tighten these in a bit of a crisscross pattern. Just a little bit of squish on all the thermal pads, just the way we like it. The fans and heatsink and everything on this cooler are basically new. I don't really think they were ever used. Okay, so now I've flipped around to this side so that I can see at the same time as you guys if this thing works or not. So a little janky test bed setup here. Jump the power. It worked before with the Waterblock on it, so I would hope it still works now, but you never know. GPU currently is drawing about 260 watts, and yeah, hotspot's sitting at 61, and the core is sitting at 48, and that's running FarMark. And the fans are just spinning at 1500 RPM. They are dead silent, hardly doing any real work. So basically, this thing is effortlessly cooling itself. Everything seems to be working just fine. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, I guess. Definitely smells like hot electronics. Not the bad kind of hot electronics like the magic smoke kind, but like the, you know, when you open a new electronic something and it's just like that new electronic smell. Kind of smells like that. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And if you made it through this whole video, then kudos to you, because I know it was rambling and stuff, but it was a good learning experience for me. I learned some new stuff about this new camera equipment I'm using. We got this GPU fixed up and ready to go back on the market as an air-cooled GPU, which someone will, I'm sure, enjoy, with all this new thermal compound and paste in here and it running whisper quiet and nice and cool. Get subscribed. Catch you in the next one.